You're a teenage girl, somewhere in prehistory. No calendar, no mother's warning, no internet. One day, you look down, you see blood, and you have no idea what's happening to your own body. Here's the wild part. This happened to every woman who ever lived. Every single one. It's one of the most universal experiences in human history, and it's barely in a single history book. So today, we fix that. First, the biology, because it explains everything. Puberty isn't just growing up. Your body is running a calculation. Do I have enough fuel to support a pregnancy? In the 1970s, researcher Frisch proposed something surprising. A girl's body needs a minimum threshold of stored fat, roughly 17%, before menstruation even begins. Later scientists refined her numbers. Some pushed back hard. But the core idea survived the debate. Puberty isn't about age. It's about energy. Your body checks the fuel gauge before it commits to reproduction. Which raises a question. If it's about energy, when did puberty actually happen? Back in prehistory. Later than you'd guess. In modern, well-fed populations, the average first period lands around age 12 or 13. But anthropologist Nancy Howell spent years studying the Kalahari's Kahun, hunter-gatherers still living a traditional lifestyle. She found menarche arriving closer to 16, harder physical labor, leaner diets, constant energy spent just surviving. All of it pushes the threshold back. It's a reasonable bet that prehistoric girls followed a similar pattern, later, not earlier. So picture her, 16 years old, deep in prehistory, experiencing this for the first time. And here's where we have to be honest. We don't know what she thought. Nobody wrote it down. No journal, no cave painting captioned Day 1, deeply confused. What we do have is comparison. Anthropologists studied traditional societies much closer to our own time, still outside industrial culture. And across many unrelated groups, one pattern shows up again and again. First, menstruation isn't hidden. It's marked, sometimes with seclusion, sometimes with ceremony, almost always treated as significant. Did prehistoric humans do the same? We can't say for certain, but it hints at something. Treating periods as a shameful secret, that might be a modern habit, not a universal human one. Now here's the frustrating part for archaeologists. Whatever prehistoric women used to manage this, it was organic, moss, soft plant fiber, prepared hide, and organic material rots. It doesn't survive thousands of years in soil. It doesn't show up neatly in a dig site. So if you've ever heard someone confidently claim exactly what cave women used, that's not from a preserved artifact. There isn't one. What we have are reasonable hypotheses, built from materials we know were used for other things, wound care, everyday tasks. Logical, not proven. That's an important difference. Then, writing gets invented, and the fog lifts a little. The oldest known women's health document is the Kahun Gynecological Papyrus from Egypt, around 1800 BCE. It covers menstrual issues alongside pregnancy and contraception. A few centuries later, the Ebers Papyrus, around 1550 BCE, tracks irregular versus regular bleeding, something doctors were expected to monitor. Egyptian medicine treated menstruation as legitimate medical territory, worth an entire scroll, 3,500 years ago. Later, the Greeks and Romans went further. A physician named Soranus of Ephesus wrote a detailed 4-volume text, simply called Gynecology, sometime around the 1st or 2nd century CE. Menstruation, anatomy, contraception, childbirth, all documented with real care. He even recommended rest during difficult periods, advice that still holds up today. But actual physical menstrual products from antiquity? Still almost non-existent in the record. Same problem. Cloth and fiber don't survive 2,000 years. And when you trace a lot of viral ancient period fact claims back to their source, That source often turns out thinner than advertised. Historians stay cautious here, and so should we. Which brings us to the strangest twist in this whole story. The convenient products you use today, they're shockingly recent. The first commercial pad, called Lister's Towels, launched around 1896. It flopped. Victorian society found it too shameful to even advertise. It took World War I to change things. Nurses noticed leftover wound dressing material absorbed blood far better than cloth. That accident kick-started the modern sanitary pad industry. The tampon with an applicator wasn't patented until 1931 by Dr. Earl Haas. It didn't hit shelves as Tampax until the mid-1930s. Sit with that for a second. Humans have been menstruating for the entire existence of our species, hundreds of thousands of years, and the products treated today as completely unremarkable, they're barely a century old. For almost all of human history, women simply figured it out. Generation after generation. No instructions, no products, mostly silence. And somehow, it never once stopped the species from continuing. If you had to guess what our ancestors actually used, moss, hide, something else entirely, drop your theory in the comments. I want to hear it.